Minecraft PvP has developed a load over the last couple years, and with the game developing as fast as ever, it's hard for players to keep up with new techniques which make others better at the game. This video will be a guide which goes over 100 different techniques which will make you one of the best Minecraft PvPers. As the video goes on, the techniques will go from easier to harder. So this video is for everyone, whether you're a noob or a more advanced player. Before I continue with the video, make sure to like and subscribe, as these videos do take a lot of time and I'm trying to go for 50,000 subscribers soon. But let's start off with the first tip. Before we go on to anything PvP related, we need to go onto the settings menu, because settings are pretty important to Minecraft PvP. The main ones that you're going to need to change are your FOV and your sensitivity. I would recommend experimenting with your FOV to see which one you like the best. The lower FOV means that you're able to aim on the player more easily, while high FOV means you can see your surroundings more easily. So choose it in between around 90. As for sensitivity, I'd recommend just trying everything out and seeing what is better for you. Unless you're on controller, then choose max sensitivity, because if you're on controller with lower sensitivity, you're gonna get cooked. Some other settings which can also improve your aim is turning off view bobbing, turn off FOV can be altered by gameplay, and hide screen animations. All of these will either make it so you're able to get stuff from the shop quicker or aim better. Remember, PvP is about being as fast as possible, so these will help you a lot. If you have lower FPS, I would also recommend maybe turning off some of the settings, such as fancy leaves and fancy bubbles, which may decrease FPS. While I'm on this topic, having a PvP texture pack might also be pretty good, as some of them are built for PvP. I have a load of PvP texture pack videos on my channel, so feel free to watch them. But let's get all of the boring stuff out of the way and go into some PvP things. First off, let's talk about CPS. CPS is extremely important, especially on Bedrock Edition. You need high CPS to not only maintain combos, but also help you clutch against other players. To do that, you need a good clicking method. So I'll be going over 3 of the best clicking methods in this video. Starting off with butterfly clicking. Butterfly clicking is where on your mouse you use your second and third finger and click left click or right click on the same time, just like on the screen right now. By doing this, you can get a pretty high number of CPS. It's what me and a lot of other YouTubers use as their primary clicking method. A more advanced clicking method is time clicking, where you time your hit so you don't have to click as much while still having pretty good hit registration. You can also do this while butterfly clicking, and there's loads of different variations of this which you can experiment on your own. The last one I'll be going over, although it is a bit controversial, is drag clicking, where you drag your finger over your left or right click, getting sometimes even hundreds of CPS. This is one of the most overpowered clicking methods and is mostly used for clutching and PvP. So pick whichever one is easiest for you. If you're on mobile or controller, I would recommend butterfly clicking. But once again, just see what you're most comfortable with and choose that. But what uses CPS if you can't aim? For my next tip, I'll be talking about how to improve your aim. To do this, it's best to fight people in raw PvP, whether that be mid-fights or boxing. You can fight people in mid-fights in a CS on Hive, and you can fight people in Zekka boxing if you really need to. Both work pretty well and it's pretty good for practicing. Recently, another CS format has been getting pretty popular, where you get 2 stacks of blocks, a shear, diamond sword, and diamond armor. It's basically like a mid-fight but with blocks, so it's a little bit more game sensed, but it's pretty fun and also does help a lot with aim. It helps you get a bit more used to actual fights, instead of getting used to how predictable mid-fights can be. Another tip for your aim is to, instead of aiming with your wrist, aim with your entire arm. Even though it might feel weird at first, it will definitely make your aim better after a little while. Another tip for aim is to constantly look at the player rather than say the crosshair. Maybe this is placebo, but it's definitely helped me and loads of other players. And Zalon, who was one of the best Minecraft PvPers at his time, told me to do this actually, so it is some pretty good advice. Also remember that in different servers you kinda have to aim in different places, because the knockback is different from each server. For example, with Hive and Cubecraft, they're pretty different, so aiming will also be pretty different too, so just keep that in mind. But you can't only win with aim and CPS, that's where movement comes in. Make sure to strafe and move around your opponent to trick them into combos. Movement is probably one of the most important things in Minecraft PvP, and if you're good at movement, then it's basically over for your opponent. But make sure not to get hit, as you can easily get into a combo. A tip with movement is not to be predictable. A lot of different players will have the same strafe patterns, meaning after a while their opponent knows what they're gonna do, which of course is gonna lead to them losing. But if both the people know how to click a lot of CPS and know how to strafe properly, then how can you beat them? Well, this is where I'm going to go into 2 different advanced techniques: jump resetting and hit selecting. Jump resetting is a technique which reduces your knockback. Basically, you jump on the second or third hit during a trade and it won't take any knockback, just like the clip over here. As you can see, it's pretty overpowered and you need to learn this. Remember that your ping does determine the timing to your jump reset, and if you mess up your jump reset, you're gonna be pretty cooked. So be careful. Once again, you can practice this in a Hive sumo with a couple friends if you really wanted to. The next technique is hit selecting, where you wait for the opponent to hit you first and then hit them afterwards, which actually lets you get the combo because they don't expect you to hit them afterwards. This is also pretty overpowered and can catch your opponent off guard. It's a lot easier to hit select if you're time clicking, so just keep that in mind. It is also something that you're gonna have to learn and memorize, so don't worry if it does take a little bit of time to learn. But something else which is pretty important in PvP is bridging. For example, in games such as Bed Wars and Sky Wars, you need to know how to bridge from one island to another to get their beds. If you're a beginner, this is a super easy way to be able to bedrock bridge, where you create a setup like this, hold your mouse down, and you're able to bridge. Once you get better at that, you can start doing it without the setup, and then you can move on to MJ bridging. If you're really advanced, you can also try and learn how to icy bridge, which does take a lot more skill, but is pretty useful, especially when you're rushing other people. Just like on the clip here, I'm going diagonally. However, there's different speeds and different ways of doing this, so it's definitely worth out checking a couple other videos on YouTube before doing this. To practice bridging, what you can do is go into JitR and use their bridging practice game mode to try and get faster and faster each time. There are so many more different bridging methods which I'll display on the screen right now, which I don't know how to do. There are definitely tutorials out there, so make sure to watch them. While talking about blocks, there are other different techniques which use them, which are also pretty overpowered. You can use blocks to take less KB by putting some behind you. You can use blocks as head hitters to catch up to your enemy or to take less KB, and you can place blocks underneath you in a trade to take less KB, which is pretty overpowered. These techniques are extremely useful in Hive Scours. However, one thing that I didn't mention with blocks is clutching. There are two different ways to clutch on Hive, with a pearl and with blocks. With blocks, you basically have to spam blocks so you land on the blocks rather than inside the void. Just look at the clips here. This is obviously going to be easier if you have higher CPS. However, pearls work a little bit differently, as there are many different ways you can go about clutching with pearls. Firstly is by just spamming pearls just like this on the clip here. Next is throwing a pearl at an edge and placing a block right underneath you so you don't go into the void. And lastly is creating a down stack. While you need 2 pearls for this, you place a down stack on your first pearl and then pearl onto the down stack with your second. This is probably the easiest pearl clutch, but these are all extremely useful, so make sure to learn them. The next couple tips that I will be giving have to do with projectiles. Projectiles such as snowballs and bow and arrows are one of the best things in Minecraft PvP. If you get a good projectile in, you can easily go win a 1v1 even if you had a bad start, or if you're worse at the game. The two main projectiles in Minecraft PvP are snowballs and bow and arrows. Snowballs can be used to start combos just like this, or in different game modes such as free shop to push people off the edge or to get them to take full damage. To start a combo with a snowball, hit them with the snowball just as you hit them, so it acts as a second hit of sorts. This propels them in the air, which lets you get the combo. Let's talk about the bow now. The bow is extremely useful, as in some servers it shows you how much health that the person has and actually deals damage. The bow is pretty overpowered. One way to use a bow is to deal damage to the opponent when they can't hit you, just like on the clip right here where I was able to deal lots of damage without them being able to hit me. Another way you can use a bow is to also start combos, just like snowballs. One difference however is that you need to pull back a little bit more than with snowballs, so just keep that in mind. Another way to use a bow and arrow is to check how much health someone has. This is extremely useful, especially when you're in a fight and it's pretty intense. Finally, just using the bow as a bow and arrow and knocking people off when they're bridging or far away is super good and almost essential for Minecraft PvP. One thing I didn't mention was how crits work in Minecraft PvP. While Hive doesn't have crits in the game modes, servers such as CubeCraft and Zika sometimes has crits in some of their game modes. There are two main ways on how to crit people. Firstly, normally by jumping and then hitting them while you're going down, and secondly by backing out of a trade while hitting them, just like the clip over here. Make sure to use trades once you are higher on health than them, or if you're around the same health as them, because using crits when you're low health will basically mean that you're cooked. One other thing that I haven't mentioned yet is spacing. Spacing is extremely important, as to hold combos you need to ensure that the opponent can't hit you while you can hit them. To do this, make sure to strafe W tab and S tab. There are loads of different methods to spacing in Minecraft PvP, so do whichever one is best for you. However, one thing to keep in mind is that because the knockback on each server is different, the spacing will also be pretty different, so you'll have to get used to the spacing in each server. Just keep that in mind. Spacing is also pretty different if you have speed on. For example, on CubeCraft there are some dual game modes which have speed on them. Usually with speed it's pretty hard to aim, so just keep that in mind. But what if when you're trading with someone or when you're comboing someone, they run away from your combo? Well, this is a more advanced technique, but you're gonna have to try and catch up to them. So as soon as they start to run, start sprinting at them. Make sure to keep on clicking and aim at them, which is pretty difficult, but definitely possible. Just look at the clip here, where I was able to get a couple extra hits before he was able to run away. Sometimes you can actually still keep people in a combo by using this technique, so it's definitely worth a try. If they're running away in a Skywars game, it's best to use your projectiles, your boomboxes, and your arrows, and try aggro them as much as possible. You can also use pulse to go and aggro them and catch up to them, which is quite aggro, but definitely worth it if need be. And now that we're 2/3 into the video, make sure to like and subscribe. This video took way too much time, and I would appreciate any amount of support that I could get, as I'm trying to go for 50,000 subscribers. But on to the 70th tip. One thing that every single good PvPer knows is Gamesense. Make sure to know exactly what to do in every situation and how to use different items to your advantage. For example, using different boomboxes on Hive Skywars to deal more damage and to traverse around the map. This is extremely useful and almost essential to become a better Minecraft PvPer. Another thing which is pretty present in both Hive, Cubecraft and Zika is fire. Fire damage is actually way too overpowered, as it's basically like taking 2 times the damage than you would normally inflict. If you have a fire sword, or if you have a TNT boombox, or even lava, use this immediately. It's super overpowered and definitely worth to try. However, one thing to note is that if they have fire protection, do not use anything fire related, as they won't take any extra damage. On the topic of fire, having texture packs with low fire is extremely important, as then the fire won't be covering your entire screen. These are in packs and sometimes in clients, such as Feral Client, Odyssey Client and Onyx Client, so make sure to use those if you really want to. If you're a mobile wanted client, Atlas Client is probably the best mobile client available, so make sure to download that too. And if you want a texture pack, you can look at my channel and find the texture pack video and download one of them. One thing I'd recommend you guys do is look at other pro players' gameplay and see what they do differently to you, and put what they do differently into your gameplay. Here are a bunch of different YouTubers you guys can watch if you guys want to look at someone's gameplay. Something important that a lot of people forget is healing in different game modes. Some gamers will have golden apples, enchanted golden apples, or even things such as redstone where you can mine them while you're fighting to gain an extra heart of health. These are extremely important. Make sure to learn how to conserve your health, as well as when to eat your golden apples and when not to eat your golden apples, as these are extremely important for the future. To practice this, what you need to do is to play loads and loads against really good players and slowly learn what's best for you and what's not best for you. There are loads of different ways to practice, such as going to multiple different CSs such as Sumos, Midfights and Skywars CSs, going into different practice servers like Zika, or fighting people in the Duels tab on Cubecraft. If you need people to fight, you can either fight with friends or go into my Discord server to find some pretty good players who'd definitely be down to play with you guys. Most importantly, however, make sure that you're consistent and you play often so you improve a lot. A good way to test your skill is by getting tier tested. I've had a couple videos where I did this too. But above all, make sure to have lots of fun while playing the game.